Hey guys, today I want to talk about the AA sponsor with an unchecked ego, which by default is toxic. Okay, I want to start off by saying, there's a whole lot of really good people in AA, and they mean well, and they're giving, and they're loving, and they're helping save lives, men and women. Okay, so I'm not talking about them. There are the minority, but there are sponsors out there who aren't good. They're bad. And my goal is to help folks find the good ones. Okay, especially the new people, the newcomers. They don't really know. They don't know what's going on. They don't really know what to look for in a sponsor. And I definitely have some suggestions. I've been around AA for a minute, and I've had, let's say, 5 different sponsors myself. So let's start. The first sign is they have a sit down and shut up mentality. Okay, you might have heard this before in the rooms. Sit down and shut up. They don't want to hear what you got to say, okay, at all. You have nothing to offer them as far as they're concerned, which is a very closed-minded way of thinking, okay? Because to learn, to be truly spiritual, one must be open-minded to all aspects of life. There's always something to learn, okay? Especially from a newcomer. How could you say you don't have anything to learn or think you don't have anything to learn just because they're new, right? That's a very closed-minded way of thinking. And once again, if your mind's closed, you're not truly spiritual, okay? Secondly, they have a my way or the highway attitude. Okay, do what I tell you to do what I say, or you can take a hike, I'll fire you. I've heard people use the term fire when it comes to sponsees. Like, for one, dude, you don't employ them, okay, to fire them. For two, you hear this so many times. Newcomers are the most important person in the room. We hear it so often that it loses its meaning, right? It does. But they're the most important person in the room for a couple of reasons, okay? One, first and foremost, our primary purpose is to help these people. That is our primary purpose. Not for us to stay sober. It never says that our primary purpose is to stay sober. It says our primary purpose is to deliver the message to the alcoholic that still suffers. But in doing so, that's how we're going to stay sober. By delivering that message, by giving, So, these people have lost their way. They're, just driven by ego. It talks about in the big book how the alcoholic is basically a control freak. You're putting a control freak in charge of your life. It's what you're doing when you choose these people. And they readily accept it because they want to be in charge of your life because they're a control freak. Sponsors aren't supposed to run your life. They're not supposed to be in control of your life. They're supposed to help you stay sober and help guide you along that way, along the spiritual path of sobriety. Guide, not control. Okay, so when somebody tells you, they're going to fire you, or, they have that my way or the highway mentality, they're control freaks. Their egos are unchecked. They're out of control when you start hearing that. Okay, also, you cannot question their sponsorship. That's their ego, right? How dare you question me, right? Who are you to question me? You're new, right? Now, just because you question somebody doesn't mean you're disagreeing with them. It doesn't mean you're not going to do what they're requiring you to do or asking you to do. Okay? It's a debate maybe on the topic at hand. Why is that a wrong thing? In my own personal experience, I question because I need to understand. I'm not doing it to argue, but I've had sponsors perceive it as an argument because I'm questioning them. No, I'm not. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not saying I'm not going to do what you're asking me to do or telling me to do. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, just most recently, a sponsor made a request, and I agreed. I said, okay, I'll do it. I'm like, but, and I asked why, and he did not appreciate that. I just asked why, because I want to understand. I'm not trying to argue with you, dude. I want to understand. So that's ego, out of check, out of control. Okay, toxic, right? What else? You can't disagree with them. God forbid you say no. Here's the thing about sponsorship, and you'll hear this many, many times. The word suggestion in AA. Suggestion. A suggestion, by definition, is an idea or plan put forth for consideration. That means you can take it or leave it for consideration. You don't have to do it. It's a suggestion only. But these people, these toxic sponsors, will tell you to do something. You must do this under the disguise of a suggestion with, it's not a suggestion. That's a command is what that is. And a command is to give an authoritative order, dominate from a superior height. That's what a command is. So when your sponsor tells you to do something, and if you say no, they get upset, they get their panties in a bunch, they maybe even threaten to fire you in one form or another. They might word it differently, but that's what they'll do because they're toxic. They're control freaks. Okay? So I just wanted to point these things out. Ultimately, this form of sponsorship is abusive. I've heard more than one person talk about, people I know, sponsors that they call, these toxic sponsors, they have them call them at a certain time, check in with them like every day, which, is common in a lot of sponsorships, calling your sponsor regularly. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing, right? But they make you call them at 5 p.m. every day. Every day, it's that rigid. And if you call them at 5:05, they will pick up the phone just to hang up on you, just to tell you called late. Click. Who the fuck does that? Who the fuck are they to be that rigid, that judgmental, that asshole? 5 minutes late. Click. And I've heard this happen to more than one person. That's abusive. Who the fuck are you? The newcomer is helping the sponsor just as much as the sponsor is helping him. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's a two-way street. It's not a dictatorship. Okay? So, let me see. If I got any other points I've made. I wrote some notes down here. The disguise, under the disguise of willingness and going to any lengths. You'll hear this in AA. Are you willing to go to any lengths to stay sober? I get that, right? I understand that. And what that means is what are you willing to do to stay sober? Because it requires work. It's not easy. You can't just sit on your ass and stay sober. There are things you're going to have to do. And that's a given. That's understood. I accept that. I do these things, okay? But these toxic sponsors, what they'll do is they'll put it under the disguise of willingness. Are you willing to do it? How far are you willing to go to stay sober? Or they'll say something to you along the lines like, you said that you're willing to go to any lengths. It's a means of control. It's manipulation, what they're doing. Because 9 times out of 10, what they're telling you to do is bullshit. It's not in the big book. It's not in the 12 and 12. It's not outlined in our program. It's something that they personally want from you, or they want you to do. It's a personal thing. Okay? So, that's about it. That's about all I got to on that subject. I do have several suggestions, 5 suggestions on what to look for in a sponsor. You know what? Let's do that on a different video.